Hi, so in these videos I'm going to show you the tutorial for Protege and currently using version 5.5 for Mac. So the tutorial is slightly different as this is for version 4. So we're just gonna try to go through each of the steps and see if we can build up this tutorial content into Protege. So it's a good idea to read this tutorial. It has some very good insights on ontologies, and going step by step through it will actually help you to get a good understanding on how to build ontology and OWL structures. Now, exercise 1, this is just explaining step by step what we have to do. And I'm just going to jump forward. Here's a description of the OWL ontologies, the components. But I'm just gonna jump forward to the exercise, and what I will share afterwards is the link to download this tutorial. So for exercise 2, we start Protege. Okay, that's done, and we create a new OWL ontology, and we call it pizza.com, right? So let's go ahead and do that here. So pizza.com, and there's no next in this one, so I assume that in the older version it would pop up with a window, or there would be a different this UI on the screen. But we go ahead and we save it as a pizza.owl file. So let's do that. Save as. And we choose the default file format, RDF, and XML syntax. So we name it pizza.owl. Just put it in the main folder. Okay, so that's done. Now we've done exercise number 2. Some of the screenshots here, they're still from the old version, so I'm not so sure how they relate to these screens. But I suggest just focus on the description in text and the description in the exercise. Some of the steps they alter a little bit, but we're gonna try to see how that works here. Okay, so let's add a comment. So that's an annotation, and it says here click on the plus for annotation, and then enter comment like a pizza ontology that describes. Let's just copy this. All right. So that's our annotation. A pizza ontology that describes various pizza bases based on their toppings. Right. And then we save again. Okay, we're done exercise number 3. Exercise number 4, we have to create pizza topping and pizza base. So this is in the class section. So you can actually create a subclass and a sibling class, and you can delete classes. I think maybe some of the other this show users may not be there. But let's go ahead and then try that. So we click on entities and we have the class tab open. There is a base or root thing where we are going to add our classes to. So let's create the first one. The first one is pizza. Now when we're on pizza, we can create the sibling. So let's create the pizza topping, and then another sibling, pizza base. Okay. Now we've created the 3 classes. So we can click save. Okay. Now we have to disjoint the classes, and to disjoint the classes, that's in exercise 5. We're going to disjoint them from each other. Let's just select the pizza, and here we have the disjoint with. So click disjoint, we open, say pizza, we want to disjoint with these 2, so shift click and then select the next one. So now when we look at these are the selections that disjoint with the other. Let's save again. Right. So using class hierarchy to create classes, let's try to do that. So select the pizza base. So I select the pizza base. And okay. And from the tools menu, we select create class hierarchy. So tools, create class hierarchy. And what do we have to create in there? So since we selected pizza base, okay, so we have to create, let's just copy them if we can. We have to create a thin base and a deep pan. So we type them in one below the other. And make sure all classes disjoint is ticked. Okay, so we go continue and we see the disjoint the siblings. Okay, so that's ticked. So that means if we open this one, we have the deep pan is disjoint with thin and crispy base. Okay, number 6. So we're going to create some toppings. And again, we're doing that in the same tool. So from the class hierarchy. So we select pizza topping and we go to tools, class hierarchy. And let's see, what do we have to put in there? Okay, so we want all our topping classes to end in topping. So in the suffix all in list with field, enter topping. So suffix, we enter topping. Okay, and the tool allows a hierarchy class to be entered, right? So let's do that. We have the spicy beef. So we have one called meat. So we have a meat, and spicy beef is a subclass of meat. So we indent with tab, right? So maybe we should see, do we have like a list of all the toppings? So meat, ham, pepperoni, salami, spicy beef we have, right? And cheese. We have we have Parmesan, and seafood. There we have anchovy, prawn, tuna, keeper, mushroom, olive, onion, pepper, and that one has green pepper and red pepper, and tomato. Okay, so anything, and all siblings should be disjoint, right? So there, that's it. So now we have all the toppings. We can add to it if there's something missing, but that should help a bit. Okay, so that was number 7. Yeah. Save. Then we have number 8. Create an object property called hasIngredient. So next to class we have object properties, and again we have a root object property. So within here we start creating the object properties. So we have to create one that has called has ingredient. Okay. Okay. So that was 8, 9. In the same one, we create one called Hashtopping. It has topping and has space as sub-properties to has ingredients. Okay, so here we have a has topping and a sibling that's called has space, right? So now we have done that. Okay. Now let's go to exercise number 10. Create some inverse properties. So use the add object property on the object property tab to create a new property called is ingredient of. So we go up here and we create one that's called is ingredient of. So we have created one that has called is ingredient of, and this one has okay, I forgot to select has ingredient and use the sibling, but that was the one that we also did on the class. Okay, so let's select has base property. So has base, and press the add icon for inverse of. So inverse of, and in there create a new property called is base of. So inverse of, and in here we add one that's called is base of, right? And click OK. So that's has space is base of. Okay, and then we select has topping. So has topping, and for that one we do the same thing, and is topping off. We type is topping off. So here and is topping off. Okay, so that's the inverse of is topping off. Right, so that was number 10. So now we're going to go into inverse functional properties and transitive properties. And in the next exercise, we're going to enable these properties. So select the has ingredient properties in the property hierarchy. So as ingredient, right? And click the transitive tick box, right? So we go here and we click this one. So that enables this. Select the is ingredient of property, which is the inverse of has ingredient. So is ingredient of property, and ensure that transitive box is ticked, or it's not. So let's tick it. Okay. So now for each of these two, we have the transitive box ticked. So note that if a property is transitive, then its inverse property should also be transitive. Okay. And what is the transitive? If a property is transitive and the property relates individual A to individual B and also individual B to individual C, then we can infer that individual A is related to individual C via property P. So for example, in this figure 420, right? So that shows has ancestor, right? Of an individual Matthew has an ancestor that is Peter, and Peter has an ancestor that is William. So that means that Matthew has an ancestor who is William. Okay. Symmetric properties. If a property P is symmetric and the property relates in individual A to individual B, then individual B is also related to individual A via property P. So that's, for example, Matthew is related to the individual gamma via the has sibling property. Then we can infer that gamma also is related to Matthew via the has sibling property. Okay. Okay, so we did 11, and then we go on to the next 12. So make the base property functional. So we select has base and we tick functional, right? So that's done here. Let's see, do we have the, so if a property is functional for a given individual, there can be at most one individual that is related to the individual via the property. So 418 show an example of a functional property that has birth mother. Something can only have one birth mother. If you say that the individual John has birth mother Peggy, and we also say that the individual John has birth mother Margaret, then because birth mother is a functional property, we can infer that Peggy and Margaret must be the same individual. It should be noted that if Peggy and Margaret were explicitly stated to be two different individuals, then the above statement should lead to an inconsistency. Okay, right, so we have done 11 and we have put in the functional. So let's go on and specify the range of hashtopping. So exercise 13, make sure that hashtopping property is selected. So we select we select Hashtopping, and we click the range on the property view. In this dialog, we can allow a class to be selected from the class hierarchy. Select pizza topping and click OK. Now we do the range, then up pops this one, and we can see the class, and we select pizza topping, right, and click OK. So Hashtopping is linked to the range of pizza toppings. Okay. Now 14, specify pizza as the domain of the Hashtopping property. So make sure that Hashtopping is selected, and on the so then press the add icon to domain on the property description view, and that will appear a class, allow a class to be selected from a window from the ontology class list. Select pizza and press OK. So we have the Hashtopping, and the domain is here. So we click this one and we select pizza. That's it. So we have pizza and pizza topping, right? Now let's go to exercise 15. On exercise 15, we have to select the Hashbase property. So we select Hashbase. Specify the domain of Hashbase to be pizza. Okay. So we do domain is pizza. Okay, good. And specify the range of Hashbase to be property as pizza base. So range pizza base. Okay. Select is base of property. So is base of. Notice that the domain of is base is the range of inverse property of Hashbase. So the range of is base is the domain of the inverse property of Hashbase. So we need to select these. So the Hashbase should be the pizza base, and the range the range should be pizza base, and you can click on the X to delete, and then the domain is pizza, right? Are we good here? Yeah, right. And for topping, it's the same. Domain is pizza, and the range is topping. Okay. So that's it for exercise 15.